guys, it's Jessica from Peace Love Books, and today I'm here with a video I'm very excited to do. I haven't done a video about spicy romances since like July, but I am here with the spiciest romances I read in 2023. So I do still have 2 weeks left of reading, but I figured I would start with like my best of videos, and this is one that I feel like I'm not going to read much more of in the rest of the year, so I could go ahead and do it. So these ones have really great spice, and I feel like these also, the spice was really important for the plot. There's a lot of conversation going around that people think books are too spicy or authors only writing spice for TikTok, and I think that spice is really important sometimes for the development of a romance. And so some of these, they are so beautifully written, and the spice really connects the characters and really shows a lot about their romance and their development and their ability to trust each other, connect with each other, their vulnerabilities with one another. So I have that here. Also, sometimes it's just fun. Like the first one I have was just a spicy fun time, and like I had a lot of fun reading it. So sometimes they're not that deep, sometimes they are. It just depends on what you're in the mood for and what you want to read. If you don't read spice, totally fine. If you read spice, totally fine. Just find what you love, and if it has spice or not, you can enjoy what you want to. So the first book I have is The Frat Boy by Nikki Sloan. I have not yet read the new one in this series, but I really, really want to. Nikki Sloan is always a spicy fun time. This one is Hate to Love, and it takes place in college, which I normally have been moving away from because I just don't love like the drama that happens in romances that take place in college. But this one, the hero and heroine are in a fraternity and a sorority, and things go down where they are banned from them because they are like rivals in this competition and like get in a huge fight, start something, and they're like, you guys can't be here anymore. They lose their housing, and both of them answer an ad for adult film, and because it includes housing, and they're like, cool, it's like somewhere right off of campus, and both of them are like, why not? They both show up to try out, see it's each other, but they have like such sizzling chemistry, and both of them are so competitive and hate each other so much that neither one of them wants to back down. So they do their audition, and it goes very, very well, and so they end up having to perform together, and it is so good. I had so much fun doing this because the spice is part of the plot. Like they have to get together because that is part of their job and deal with their feelings that are developing because they say they hate each other, and I loved it so much. Like if you want a spicy good time, read Nikki Sloan. Another one where the spice is just so beautifully written is Sierra Simone. So I read Priest last year, the year before, and I wasn't blown away. I was like, okay, like this is fine. This is a spicy taboo time. The way I cried in these, especially in Saint is like one of my favorite books of the year. This book hit me so hard. So these are a lot to do with religion. So in this one, she is aspiring to be a nun, and she is given the opportunity by the nunnery. They tell her, go experience everything you can and really solidify your decision to become a nun. And so she does. It's with our hero, and things happen. This one of them is a monk, and he becomes a monk for very, very personal reasons, and this whole series is revolving around the fact that their sister, it's the Bell brothers, their sister died by suicide because she was assaulted by someone in the church. So it is really, really emotional and hard to read. This one specifically has a lot to do with suicide, so please know that going in. One hero is really struggling a lot and turns to being a monk to help find peace within himself, and he does, but he has an ex who comes and visits. He's a journalist writing about the monks who make beer, I think, and they have to address things and reconnect, and they obviously are still madly in love with each other. So these are so good, definitely have a lot of spice in them, but they're so emotional, and know that it's so beautifully written and so integral in their healing process with one another and their ability to just think through all the trauma that they've gone through and process everything and really figure out how they're going to cope with everything that's happening. So yeah, so good. Love these. Haunting Adeline. There's a scene in here that I still think about, and I see TikToks about it and I just laugh. This one's a stalker romance. He does things with a gun. This one definitely gets creativity points, and he is so obsessed with her. And you've probably heard of this book. It's definitely spicy. It definitely goes places. I was entertained the whole time. I will go ahead and talk about the two QB Tyler books on this list. QB Tyler writes the best spice, sometimes like way more spice heavy than the others. So the first one is Keep Her Safe. This one definitely was not as spice centered as this one. This one is a bodyguard romance and it is so good. This one is my favorite. This one, the heroine has been in love with her bodyguard since she's been like 17, 18. She even like made a move on him and he's like, oh my gosh, like no, this can't happen because he's older. I think he's like 10 years older maybe. And so he was gonna quit. But then her parents die and he's like, I can't quit now. Like she's grieving and traumatized. So he stays. She gets over her crush, you know, on the outside. She still really likes him, but she's like, okay, fine, I'll move on. Starts dating a celebrity and then they break up. And so now she's single and she's a little older. And she's finally like, you know what, now is the time. Now is the time we can be together. And so he's like, I can't resist anymore. And it's so good. I really love this one. I really need to reread this too. It was so good. And then we have her newer one, which is Worst Kept Secret. I'm actually reading her Christmas one that's coming out soon. Today I got an arc of it. It's already so spicy and so good, but this one's definitely much more spice heavy. This one is a best friend's dad romance where her best friend's actually a guy in love with her. So that adds a little bit of a layer of the forbiddenness to it because she's been best friends with him for a long time and she's only ever seen him as a friend and he obviously like has had feelings for her for a long time and she's falling for the dad. This one does drop in like after her and the dad have hooked up and it's a lot of hooking up. So like this one is solely centered on the spice and that's a huge part of the plot while this one had more, and this one has romantic suspense too, which I really loved, but this one's a spicy fun time. If you like the taboo nature of that too, check this one out. Then I have Pucking Around by Emily Rath. This is a Why Choose hockey romance, and read the novella first. The novella is the heroine meeting one of the heroes prior to this book. They have a one-night stand. It's super hot. They loved it, but she's like, I got a life and we're not gonna exchange numbers or names, and she leaves. So he has no idea who she is, but she is a physical therapist. She gets a job with this hockey team and moves down there and he is on the hockey team and it's her romance with him. But she meets first, when she arrives at the hockey team, the other hero who is his best friend, who is the equipment manager because he got injured and was a hockey player. She starts liking him. And then she starts liking the goalie too. So there are 3 guys in here and actually the 2 best friend guys are falling in love with each other as well. So it's really chunky, but I loved how Emily Rath developed each individual relationship because that's really needed in a good Why Choose romance for me, is that each one feels really like an individual romance and the guys just don't like blend together and aren't carbon copies of one another. I could not say that word. And really distinctive and you really fall in love with all of them. That happened in this one. So much spice and it was so good. So if you like Why Choose and you want hockey and you want just really emotions too, like I did not mind the length. It was perfect and the ending was so good. And I need to read the next book like now. Then I have Caution to the Wind by Gianna Darling. This book, the spice delivered. This one is a hate to love too. So when they first get together, it is so anger filled and they're trying to work through their emotions though through sex, and I just really love that about their relationship in this book. And so this one is May and Axeman. May is actually Axeman's stepdaughter's best friend and he's known her since she was like 12. They haven't really developed any emotional feelings for each other or romantic feelings until she's 18 and then he goes to prison because of her and then she doesn't talk to him for 8 years. And now she's 26 and he is in his 40s, early 40s? Late 30s. There's not too big. I think there's a 16-year age gap between them and they end up seeing each other again. She's in town and she's like, I'm gonna be here for Cleo, who is a stepdaughter, because something happened to her in the last book. And he's like, I don't want you here. And he's so angry. And there's really like sensual touching scenes that happen in here as well. Like there's one with an art scene too and they just like really stand out and I love this so much. So this one they definitely had to use spice to really delve through their feelings and figure out how to deal with their want of one another when they know they shouldn't want it. And the last one I have is Power by Cassandra Robbins. This one is a mom's fiance romance. He doesn't love the mom. They're really using each other and she comes home and he is there and he is like, you cannot date anybody else. Like, you are going to be mine. So this one is really fun. It's one that's really not taken too seriously either. Lots of spice, but I really liked it. Like, I remember the scene on the couch Like, she had someone over and he shows up and he's like, you leave, and pretty much takes his place. So this is so fun. Age gap forbidden, taboo. I really enjoyed it. And those are my favorite spiciest romances of 2023. These are not necessarily released in 2023, but I read them all this year. So definitely let me know what your favorite spicy romances were this year. I would love to hear it, and let me know if you read these and if you like them. And that's all I have. As always, thank you so much for watching and have a good day. Bye.